Welcome back, everyone. Anything that I say is definitely not meant to diagnose you, just to give you general information. Check with your doctor before implementing any of these things that we're going to talk about, since they may oppose conventional medical care. All right, Steve,
Well,
can you hear me
I
okay?
sure can. And audience, thanks for your patience with us. Our show blew up on the launch pad last week, but we were all bigger and better. And we were unfortunately not able to answer Julian, was it? Is it Julian's question?
Yeah, so
Julian's
let me go
question.
through that, Steve,
Okay.
because Julian had a question I wasn't able to answer, so we're finally going to get to his question. He's doing keto. He's consuming a certain amount of protein, and he had a question about his protein. So he showed me the formula that you need zero point 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight, okay, to come up with his formula to figure out his proteins, which is, I think, he just keeps having too much protein, right? So I found an error in his math. It's basically it's zero point 0.7 grams of protein per kilogram, not per pound body weight. So that changes everything. So he weighs 160 pounds. So that means it's 73 kilograms. So if we do the math on that, just 73 kilograms times 0.7 grams of protein, that only comes out to 50.9 grams of protein he needs instead of the, over 100. So he was consuming like a dozen eggs, and he was consuming, I guess, sardines and additional protein. So really, Julian, what you need to do is you only need to have 7.2 eggs per day to get your amount of protein you need. So just have to work it out in kilograms. So that should answer your question. Because if you have too much protein, and even using eggs, which give you the best quality of protein, that means like a little bit over half of that protein converts to sugar. So, that's the problem with doing too much protein. It's not like eating sugar for sure, but it's going to be turning into waste or glucose as energy. So anyway, that would answer your question and clarify that challenge that you're running into.
Wonderful. Thanks, Doc. And I know Julian's been very patient with us, so we appreciate getting that out to him. Steve, not me, from Facebook. How much MCT oil should I put in my coffee, and will it break my fast?
I would do a tablespoon of MCT. If you do too much, you'll have diarrhea or loose bowels. But yeah, you can do a tablespoon. If you exercise, add another tablespoon. It'll give you more energy because it's going to generate ketones. If you go too much MCT oil, you're going to burn that as your fuel more than your own body fat. And if you're trying to increase your weight or maintain your weight, then that's totally fine. But if you're trying to lose weight, you want to be careful about these extra added fats.
All right, that's great. And Anush from YouTube, in this case, and this is an oft-asked question, and I know what you're going to say. How do I calculate my daily calorie intake to lose weight and reverse a fatty liver? Anush weighs 157 pounds and is a 4 feet 9 inches.
I think the best way to answer that is to go to our website, drberg.com. And I just happen to have a new keto calculator, which you can fill out. And it's in the drop-down menu under keto, I think it is. And you just basically take that quiz, and it'll actually get information from you, your age, your weight, your height, and it'll give you a good idea of how many calories you really should be consuming based on the ketogenic diet. So it's a keto calculator. It's new. I haven't promoted it because I wanted to just really make sure all the bugs are worked out. It doesn't seem like there is a lot of bugs, but if you want to go there and check it out, definitely check it out, because that'll tell you about the calories, even though calories are not really as important as just, eating and just feeling satisfied.
Well, that's wonderful. Listen, we have coming to us all the way from Centerville, Iowa, a nice guy named Adam, and he's on with you in the Dr. Berg Show. Go ahead with your question, Adam. Okay, got to unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry about that. Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
I have been doing keto since Thanksgiving. I've lost about 70 pounds, intermittent fasting and keto.
Wow. That's amazing.
He's a little frozen up. We'll wait for him. Hopefully it'll come through.
Lost about 70 pounds and have been watching your videos, following you and what you have. I do want to lose about another 20 or 30 pounds, but I've had a couple issues that have come up. For starters, about the last 3.5 weeks, my weight hasn't dropped. And the more I've been listening to you, the more I've understood more on health than just weight loss. And so I've been trying to put priority on that. However, since I've started this, I have noticed that I have times that happen daily where I am dizzy, almost fainty.
Okay.
And so by the time I eat my daily meal, and I'm down to one meal a day, by the time I
Dr. Berg, I'm going to mute him. Go ahead. I
eat
think
my
you got your
daily
question.
meal, I feel like I need to just lay down and rest, or I'm going to fall
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. So the most likely. Okay. So it's not coming through, but I think I know what you're trying to ask. Yeah. I think you have to, I think that you definitely need electrolytes, but it could be you need more salt and sea salt. That's really the key thing with feeling dizzy and disoriented, and especially if you're drinking a lot of water and you start keto because you dump all this fluid, and now we also dump all the electrolytes. So if you're already doing sea salt, then I would do the potassium electrolyte drink. And of course, I'm going to recommend mine. But here's the thing with sea salt: you do that. Okay, so of salt.
Of your electrolyte potassium.
Okay, are you doing sea salt?
I've used sea salt on my food, eggs, and even a little bit on my salad.
Okay, then this is really simple. I think I would just beef up, no pun intended, more sea salt, and that will help you. And so there's also, you can get sea salt tablets. I only recommend that if you're very deficient, but I think you may want to just with the electrolyte powder take about an eighth of a teaspoon of sea salt and dissolve that into the electrolyte powder, because it sounds like you need more sodium if you feel kind of dizzy and things like that. So do that a few times a day. Because here's the thing: if you actually take a lot of potassium without that sodium, that will make your sodium a little bit lower. So anything with dizziness, low blood pressure, I would go with that. The other thing you want to realize is that you might need B1. B1 could also create that dizziness, especially if you get up and you feel disoriented, and like it's called POTS, but that's really a B1 deficiency. If you feel lightheaded, especially if you get up too quickly. Those are two things that normally should fix that problem. If you still have a problem, then we need to get more information, and come on next week and we'll dissect a little bit more. But I think that's what I would do: sodium and B1.
And don't forget
Okay,
a little
very good.
nutrition.
I'll do that.
A little nutritional
Great.
yeast there, Andy. I personally recommend it. Great stuff. Calm you right down. Sorry we had trouble with your transmission, but I hope Dr. Berg was able to answer your question. And let's go on to another question off. Well, no, I tell you what, why don't we talk about who's coming to us and from where? First of all, we will be having Oscar, who's in Mexico City, with us. We will also have Monica, who's coming from Slovakia, I think, and then, people all over the place. But in the meantime, other people coming to us are from the UK, Canada, India, France, Philippines, Norway, Greece, Israel, Mexico, hi Mexico, Bermuda, South Africa, Italy, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Egypt, Cameroon, Chile, Algeria, Morocco, Germany, Japan, Ghana, Taiwan, and all across these United States. And he already said Canada. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. And let's move on. Okay, Rubia from YouTube. I'm doing keto and intermittent fasting and adding apple cider vinegar before I break my fast. I'm still getting right shoulder pain and gallbladder discomfort. Any suggestions?
Yeah, what you're going to need is more of a bile salt, a purified bile salt, the gallbladder formula, and you want to take that with food and also on an empty stomach. And you may need to take 2 on an empty stomach twice a day to kind of open up the bile ducts and to get more flow through there, because that apple cider vinegar will increase your production of bile, but you might need just more bile to get you started. Speaking about bile, Steve, normally when I have breakfast, it's always important to read the labels. I always like to read labels, and could you believe this has like 2 grams of fat, incredible. But the good thing is it has no cholesterol at all. So I'm excited about that. But the reason I'm just showing you the label on this is that I found something that I just did a video this morning. If you look at the back of the label or the side of the label on some of these products recently, you'll see it says contains bioengineered food ingredients.
Yum.
Bioengineered food ingredients. So that's going to be an interesting video for people because, Steve, have you ever heard of that before?
No, I don't believe I have.
This is a nicer way of saying it has GMO foods. Now, there's a lot of loopholes. There's some really interesting information about it, but stay tuned for the video that I'm going to release in about 2 days on genetically modified, because they were going to just about to pass a law that, more and more states need to label and be more transparent with GMO, but the food manufacturing companies beat them to the punch and came up with a new term. So now it doesn't sound like GMO foods. It sounds a little bit better. And the little symbol that they'll use is this beautiful sun, the sun with like this little plant with a nice farm. It seems really nice. So that way you think you're getting a really great health food product. So anyway, it's an interesting thing. You have to start reading labels and really understand what you're putting in your mouth.
Now remember, Doc, tricks are for kids. Now, I don't know how many people in the audience are old enough to remember that slogan. But anyway, they do put all these euphemistic things up, right, to make you think you're getting the best stuff. But let's go with our first quiz question, Doc.
All right. Which type of food is missing if you have dry lips? Dry lips.
Audience, dig into that. And why don't we go to Mexico City and go with Oscar. Hang on just a second. Oscar, unmute yourself and you're on with Dr. Berg.
There you go. Hello.
Hi, Oscar.
How are you?
Great.
Great. Well, first of all, thanks for everything that you do, Dr. Berg. And let me tell you about my situation and my question. I have been experiencing now what I think that is restless leg syndrome for the past 3 years. And it has really affected the quality of my life. And well, living in Mexico City with this syndrome has been challenging because I haven't found any doctor that knows about this condition. And I have done every possible blood test, resonance of my body, and every exam that I have been told. And well, I haven't found anything wrong in my body. But the pain continues in my legs. And even one doctor suggested me to use like drugs because they thought that it was something related to emotions or things like that. And well, last December, it was when I found information about restless legs. And I was like, okay, that's the symptoms that I've been feeling. Now it has a name, right? And that's how researching about this syndrome, I found your videos. And now it has been a month and a half that I have been taking 4,700 milligrams of potassium, a spoon of magnesium, and apple vinegar twice a day. And also, it has been a week that I started taking nutritional G's twice a day. And well, I haven't really felt any improvement, but I still think that this is restless leg syndrome due to the fact that doctors have told me that there is nothing wrong in my body. And also, the pain feels like almost everything the websites share as serverless, right? And well, my question is that I am wondering if I am missing any data on how can I improve condition. Is it 3 months that have been a new symptom in my feet when I am walking is of restless legs or if it is something else. So I was wondering if you can tell me something to guide me toward to answers or towards to a solution.
Sure. What time is it now? You're in Mexico, right?
Yeah, in Mexico it is 10:24
PM or AM?
a.m.
Okay. Yesterday,
Yeah.
what did you eat yesterday? What was the foods that you ate yesterday?
Yesterday I ate chicken. Yeah, chicken. I am now eating a lot of vegetables. I stopped eating. I don't know how to say in English, but like sausages and things with salt. So like yesterday, I stopped eating things that have like salt, and I'm just eating salt, but ocean salt. I don't know how to say it, and well, that's it. But and also, yeah. But I'm taking care of the food that I am eating.
Okay, so recently, have you been eating any carbohydrates, like any type of carbohydrates that could be like sugars or flour products, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean carbohydrates like pasta. I eat pasta and rice, but I don't eat a lot of like sugar things. Let's say like every once in a while I take the half of a donut. Let's say, but not regularly.
Okay. Do you drink any soda?
No,
Okay, good. Any alcohol?
no,
Okay, good.
no.
So this is a really good example of like someone has a symptom and they want a remedy for it. What you're going to have to do to fix this is you're going to have to get on the basic healthy version of the ketogenic diet that I recommend, because you're taking the remedies, but the foundation isn't created enough. Those refined carbohydrates in the form of the rice and the pasta, unfortunately, deplete you of vitamin B1, not to mention potassium. So really, it's the B1 that you need because that actually helps you get rid of the what's called lactic acid in your legs. But if you're still doing the carbs, that is going to kind of negate or nullify those supplements. So this is going to be very, very simple. Get my book, start reading on how to do this right, get off those carbs, and give it a little bit of time, and then watch what happens to your restless legs. Because I used to have that condition really bad to the point where I was pounding my legs at night because in the middle of the night, I'm like, I can't sleep, and I had to go run to get this energy out. It was driving me crazy. But I was doing a lot of the breads, the pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes.
Right.
Now I know for some people watching, it might be hard to believe that in Mexico they do carbs, but they do sometimes like carbs, tortillas and rice and
totally.
Occasionally. But yeah, that's you're gonna have to find an alternative to that, like some keto friendly breads.
Perfect. So the idea is to go on a ketogenic diet is what I understand.
That's what you're missing. That's the only thing you're missing, and you probably will find out you don't even need any supplements because that foundation is not put in there yet.
Perfect. So the way to go on with the ketogenic is for books. Let's say.
Yeah, but in the meantime, if you just go to my website. Right on my website, on the front page, drberg.com, and scroll down, there should be a what to eat document, and you can download that and start today.
Perfect. So I'm doing that today, so I can have like a guide. Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay,
That's
okay, so
great.
thank you. Thank you a lot. So I will
You're
do
welcome.
that and keep you posted.
Okay, let me know.
Go
Thanks.
Oscar, go Mexico City. All right, let's see where we're at here. We're still waiting for our answer to the first question, but in the meantime, Allison from Facebook, what's the best way to address hypothyroidism?
Most hypothyroidism is Hashimoto's. It's an autoimmune. And the key mineral that you would want to take is not iodine, it's selenium. Selenium helps you convert, but also you need to make sure you have no gluten in the diet. Gluten really can mimic certain things and mimic the thyroid, so your body then will attack it as a foreign thing, and it kind of makes things worse, basically. Not to mention messes with your gut. So watch my video on Hashimoto's. There's several other things you need to do, but it's really not a thyroid problem. It's a secondary problem. It's an immune problem. So if you keep treating it as a thyroid and just take Synthroid or T4 or whatever, and wonder why you don't get better, it could be because you're treating the symptom and not the underlying root problem, which really, with Hashimoto's, you want better conversion of that T4 to T3, the active form of the thyroid hormone. I have a lot of videos on it, so you can go into that and do a deep dive.
That's terrific. Okay, Doc, speaking of the first quiz question, we do have some answers, and it was asking which type of food is missing if you have dry lips. And the audience suggested 30% say omega-3s or fatty fish, 25% say foods with magnesium, 20% say B vitamin foods, 20% say foods with magnesium. Boy, a lot of answers. 5% say vitamin C foods, and 5% finally say vitamin A foods. Terry, thank you for that great breakdown.
Okay, so when you get to dry lips, you have, it's not a lack of water, it's a lack of fats. And omega-3 a lot of times will help. Vitamin D will help. And vitamin D is in the fatty foods. So you want the seafood. Fatty fish would be really good to help you lubricate your lips. So it's really the essential fatty acid, omega-3 fatty acid, and sometimes vitamin D. That will prevent the cracked lips or the chapped lips and the dry lips.
Wonderful. Okay.
Cod liver oil is another one too.
Yeah, that's gross though. But if you can get it down, I'm sure it's very good for you. Let's see. Why don't we go to Paul from Dallas? He's been very patient with us and even switched computers so that he looks great on the air. Paul, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Let's see, keep this quick. Back in 2018, I had a staph infection. I had to go through 4 months of antibiotics. In the middle of it, I started in June, and in August, had a physical, TSH, T4, T3, all normal. Elevated liver enzymes, but in the cholesterol high, of course, 300, but triglycerides were low, so I just didn't do anything about that. Anyway, by November, I noticed I was gaining weight. I had a big pot belly, had 3 of the indicators of liver problems. So December, I started keto, watching you, Berg and Nicola, and started doing great. By February, I was able to do 48-hour fast. After the third one, I noticed other problems like joint pain, tennis elbow, which I had for years, would never go away. Anything I did would never go away. Suddenly it was gone. I was able to get out and ride my bike again. And then stayed on keto, kind of rolled in and out after a year. Then by December, I went for a physical, and my TSH level was 15, which is super high. And I was taking quercetin because of the the C-19 going around, and I had to travel for work and was getting exposed. I'd been taking it for 6 months, so I thought maybe that's causing it, and I stopped taking it. After my staph infection was on the face, and after the facial creams like tacrolimus left me with rosacea. So I've been putting creams on my face a couple times a week to keep that under control. Anyway, then in, let's see, it was March, another test. It dropped down to 11. T4 was 1. Months later, down to 11, but the T4 was down to 0.87. Now the doc says, and I told the doc about the problem with the high TSH, and he thought maybe I have Hashimoto's. So he did the test, and the test all showed negative for Hashimoto's. I avoid gluten like the plague. Have been for over a year now. And anyway, so he prescribed the synthetic T4. Says, oh, you got hypothyroidism. And I was looking, and I do take your nutritional yeast, and I take powdered nutritional yeast, mix that in, and those are high in biotin. So I don't know if it's the biotin that may be causing that, or that, but I've cut down on the nutritional yeast with the high biotin.
I got it. So let me just kind of give you some tips on that, all that information that I have. Of course, there's probably a lot more we could kind of dig into. But here's the thing with the thyroid. It doesn't sound like, you don't look like a hypothyroid type case. You don't. So a lot of these, you got to look at it like an indicator that there has to be something else going on. The thing that you told me is you have a staph infection on the face, and you're using certain creams, which gives me a little clue on your microbiome could be off, like the gut. And what's interesting about the gut, the microbes that also relate to your microbes on your superficial part of your face, is that one can affect the other. So let's say, for example, there's a lack of diversity of gut microbiome. Well, guess what? They make bile salts. And so bile is really necessary also in the conversion of your thyroid hormones. So if your gut is off, the thyroid's going to be off too. Not to mention the liver. If the liver was fatty, and let's say, for example, now it's better, but the liver also makes bile salts. So your microbes make bile salts, your liver makes bile salts. And so either one of those can greatly affect the thyroid, because 80% of the thyroid hormones are dependent on the liver to be converted to the active form of the thyroid hormone. So if there's some type of blockage or in your bile ducts, or a problem with the microbes in your gut, that can affect your thyroid. So those are the two areas I would really look at. I would start with something called TUDCA, which is going to help the liver just work a lot better. And then let's see what happens to your thyroid once you do that. And then also at the same time, I would do something to fortify your gut microbes, because that staph problem you have, the way to do it, you can kill the staph off, but then those microbes become even stronger. So instead, we just fortify you. We increase the microbiome systemically, and that way your microbes don't start becoming resistant to that. Very soon, I wouldn't say, I shouldn't say very soon, but probably in about a month or two, we'll have there's a microbe cream that you can put on your face that's really good for balancing out pathogens. But stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I would do a probiotic and TUDCA to help your situation.
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul. We're kind of fighting the clock here, but I hope that information helped, and we wish you all the luck, and we hope that you'll call us back and let us know how you did. All right, Dr. Berg, let's get on with another slide here, another quiz, and there you have it.
All right, what does smoking do to your lips? What are the effects of smoking? How does that affect your lips?
Well, what a great question. I am 68, and it just shocks me now when I see the old movies. Everybody in the world had a cigarette dangling out of their lips when in the 70s or 60s. And I guess everybody had whatever that does to the lips. But fascinating, when I see an old movie now and everyone's smoking in an elevator in a room, it just seems so foreign to me, even though I was one of them. I quit about 30 years ago. Anyway,
yeah, well, I recently did a video on diagnosing kind of the inside of your body based on what's going on with the lips. So these questions are based on that video that apparently some people watch, some people haven't. But it's I think it's important to just kind of teach people on little different indicators of looking at the face, the lips, the teeth, and to see what's going on internally, so you have more information on that.
Here's an interesting one. Tammy from YouTube, please discuss what's behind sulfate sensitivity. They're a winemaker by profession, and this condition is causing havoc for me.
I know, because they have to use that sulfite as a preservative, or things will turn to vinegar. So here you are trying to enjoy just wine, on a regular basis, and darn it, you can't sometimes because you have this sulfite sensitivity. Well, I guess what you have to do is try to do the kombucha tea as your new wine alternative. But the sulfites are also in other things like dried fruit. And as far as what causes that sensitivity, I think the body is rejecting these sulfites that are added to food primarily because they do have a negative effect on our bodies. So our body's rejecting it. But some people have more sensitivities to other things, than other people. But if you want to improve sensitivities to anything or improve allergy type symptoms, the best way to do it is through regular intermittent fasting as well as periodic prolonged fasting. That will help your immune system. You'll have less sensitivities. Then you'll be able to drink large, copious amounts of wine on a nightly basis.
Wonderful. Well, I tell you what, our audience does not mess around because they've already come up with an answer. What does smoking do to the lips? And 100% of them, they're rolling, they're putting all the money down on this one number, say wrinkled or darkened lips.
Okay, you are correct, but primarily it turns the lips on the gray side. It does darken it, but it does turn it on the gray side because it's like you're really shutting down the circulation. So it's not going to turn blue, but it'll turn on the gray side. So, if you want gray lips, just keep smoking, right?
Well, I guess everybody used to have them. Debbie from Facebook, since I've been intermittent fasting, I have developed severe bad breath, heard that, and the heel on my right foot has turned orange. Are they connected?
Your heels have turned orange.
Just one of them. Well, one of them, the right one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure about that. I'm definitely not sure about that. But I will say that if the breath is quite odorous when you do intermittent fasting, it's probably you're in some deep ketosis, right? And so what you could do to really resolve that is to take a probiotic. And you can take this on an empty stomach. It won't interfere with your fasting, but it will greatly help purify the gut. And I would, of course, I'm going to recommend mine because it's a liquid and it's a great way to counter the effect of any bad breath at all. And in fact, even if the cause is coming from a bacterial issue or a gut issue or an excessive ketone issue, that probiotic you take right before bed, you can also dilute it and use it for other things as well. You can use it cleaning mold around your house. You can put it in a spray bottle, dilute it, and spray it into your septic tank. It just takes the smell out. So it's a great way to handle that. We also use it in our chicken feed when we ferment it to keep the mold growth down. So it kind of, these microbes, they eat the bad stuff and they get rid of different smells. So it's a great thing.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go back to our green room, and we've got Monica coming to us all the way from Slovakia, and that's on the border of the Ukraine. So we wish her all the best and all the safety in the world. And you are on, Monica, with Dr. Berg.
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
I started keto diet just about 2 weeks ago, and I have to say I'm feeling great. I've got lots of energy, so I'm really pleased about the positive effect of it. The reason why I started keto is because I'd like to lose belly fat. I'm generally a slim person, but I've got belly fat. And the second reason is fibroids in my uterus. For years, I've been trying to find a diet that would address it. No gluten, no dairy, very healthy fruit, veg eating, but it's just not done anything. I have a condition with my liver. I had a liver operation. And I know that I was first high on estrogen, then my estrogen went down, and I was told that potentially the two are related, so the liver and also fibroids. And then I've got my methylation is not very good. So those are just really the basic facts, just to help you maybe just to think about it. And really, it's just how do I
think you're on the right track. And of course, with that keto plan, definitely start doing more and more intermittent fasting, because the intermittent fasting is good for anything tumors. Okay, so it'll actually shrink tumors, and that's what a fibroid is. It's a benign tumor. The other thing is the tumor needs a blood supply, and it's called angiogenesis. And so there are foods that are anti-angiogenesis that will shrink this the circulation to these fibroids, and it just so happens to be the cruciferous vegetables. So the cabbage, the cauliflower, the kale, you should be including that in your keto diet. Those foods are going to help you. They're also estrogenic. I'm glad that you stopped the dairy, because that's a really key point. But and the sugar as well, because those are just, dairy, sugar increases insulin. So we have estrogen. Those are all anabolic, and they make things grow in the body. So you're going to be on the right track with what you're doing. I just would add cruciferous vegetables and do more fasting. Those two things with this diet are going to be very, very helpful for you. So and just give it more time. That's really all you have to do, is give it more time, and it should work really nicely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's great. Thanks for representing Slovakia so well, Monica. And let's keep it up with the green room here. Why don't we go next to Juan, who is calling in from Florida. And let me unmute you, Juan, here and get you on the air. And you are on with Dr. Berg, Juan. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. How are
Good morning.
First of all, I've been doing keto since 2019. I dropped about 20 pounds, feeling more energetic. I started consuming the apple cider vinegar twice a day. And then a few months back, I decided to buy one of those gadgets to track your sleep. Found out that my deep sleep, let me put it this way, I don't get enough deep sleep. I'm getting anything between 5 minutes to 30 minutes max. Somehow I did some research. I found out that sometimes the apple cider at night, it's not a very good idea. It could trigger the lack of deep sleep. So long story short, my question is, how can I improve my deep sleep in doing keto?
There's a couple things that you can do that I would experiment on. Taking vitamin D right before bed can greatly help reset your circadian rhythms. Being out in the sun more during the day can actually give you more melatonin to help the deep sleep at night. So if you're in an office or indoors the majority of the day, that is a problem. That's a problem with your sleep. So being outside, physical work is just going to be really, really huge. Going for long walks, doing more exercise will help your deep sleep. Also, before you go to sleep, there's a protocol that I use to get even more sleep. Like I was doing this for a while. I'm not doing it now, but I was trying to get 9 hours of sleep. And it was quite great because it was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. So I took vitamin D, I took zinc, and I took my sleep aid right before bed. Boy, that just puts you into a real nice deep delta wave sleep. And the first part of the sleep is going to be mainly the deep sleep, the delta wave, but then the second half of the sleep is going to be the REM sleep, which is just as important to rejuvenate mental stress. So you're waking up and you're not necessarily just rejuvenating just physical stress, but the mental stress. So you wake up feeling like, I feel just really ready to go. I can face life and I feel good. So these are all things that I would look at. I have done a lot of videos on sleep because I had severe problems with sleep, and that's what got me interested in it. So there was times in my past where I didn't even sleep 1 second all night long. I'm laying there just literally in a torture chamber, just when am I going to go to sleep? And so that haunted me for about 12 years until I figured it out. But so I have a reality on that. So you can watch the videos, but those are the things that I would recommend to help.
Okay. I'm getting, as an example, last night I got 39 minutes of deep sleep, but I got 2 hours and 14 minutes of REM sleep.
Hey, you're okay. That's not terrible. The other thing that you have to realize, those tests aren't always the most accurate way of really measuring the delta wave, especially since you probably don't have any probes going into your brain. It's probably going to be evaluating your motion of your body. So it's kind of an indirect way of measuring it. So I would go with how you feel when you wake up too.
Okay.
As the best indicator. But also one last little remedy is that some calcium before bed also will help, especially if you have cramps at night. And if let's say your head is tired, okay, but you can't go to sleep, calcium will just like put you out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Juan. I appreciate it. And let's see if we can't get one other question answered today. Then we'll go back and wrap it up with our guests in the green room. And Dr. Berg, here's your question.
Okay, so what is the highest quality of protein you can possibly eat?
Okay, get on it, audience. And let's see, we've got Olivia is still waiting for us. And Olivia, you are on with Dr. Berg. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
My question, some years ago, I had this stomach aches, very burning stomach aches. They were brief sometimes. Anyways, after that, I went to my doctor and they diagnosed that I had stones in my gallbladder. Not being sure that was the cause of my stomach pains, they took it out. The stomach pains continue. Years after, I went back to a gastroenterologist, and they found out that I had a stone in my bile duct, which they tried 4 times to take it out, which was very hard. At the 4th try, they did take it out. I felt my stomach aches disappear. However, a few months later, they diagnosed me with acid reflux. I don't have heartburn. I don't have those symptoms that most people have. However, I feel that my stomach digests food very slow because I feel it. I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't feel bad. However, in the morning, I feel the food sometimes in my throat. And then later on, I developed this bad flavor in my mouth, and later on very dry mouth at night, not during the day. And lately, dry nose. My sleep has been really bad. Some nights I don't sleep at all. Some nights I sleep maybe 6 hours. Some nights I sleep 8 hours. And you were saying your body will tell you if you have a good night's sleep. And when I sleep at least 6 hours, I feel great. I have a lot of energy. I have been listening to you for the past year. I really like everything that you say, and I have tried some things for this acid reflux, which is phlegms, the one that bother me the most in the back of my throat. I feel this drainage. However, I don't have congestion nose. I breathe very well. It's just that it's very constantly clearing my throat and having this dry cough once in a while. And I see that when I eat certain foods, it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard you saying like radishes with ginger and lemon. I tried that one time. I heard you and I did it. And it helped. Actually, I said, oh my gosh, this doctor is God. So I really admire you for a lot of things that you do. But this is bothering me too much. And also maybe related to my stomach problems, dry skin, itchy skin that I feel that maybe are allergies, especially my fingers, and certain foods that I eat, I notice that maybe it is more. So listening to you, I have stopped like eating nuts and other things. And sometimes I don't have any itching at all, but sometimes I do still. Lately, in the last 6 months, I started seeing a spot in one of my legs, white spot, and then went to a dermatologist. He says that he wants to treat it like with lights. It may be vitiligo. I never heard of it. So I don't know. I feel that everything is related to the stomach issue. So
Okay, good. So let me just kind of recommend. I'm assuming. I always assume that you're doing the healthy version of ketogenic diet that I recommend. So let's just pretend that you're doing that. The other thing is that I've released a video just recently that if you haven't watched it, you definitely need to watch it. It has to do with mucus in the back of the throat, but really that video is all about acid reflux, problems in the lower digestive tract. That you should watch that because that could explain some of your symptoms. The big clue that you gave me was that stone in your bile ducts. That tells us that you're low in bile salts. So that also tells me that the liver probably needs some help to make more bile, because gallstones are a combination of too much cholesterol versus not enough bile. So instead of reducing cholesterol, I would increase your bile salts. I would go out and get a product called TUDCA. Start taking 2 on an empty stomach in the morning, 2 in the afternoon on an empty stomach. And that will start to increase your ability to digest fats, like vitamin A, that supports the dryness of the mucous membranes that you have a problem with. Also vitamin D, which will help a lot of the other symptoms that you're expressing. So I think you're having a hard time extracting these fat soluble nutrients because you need more bile. So TUDCA will assist you to speed things up. And also, if you don't have enough of the bile, you could get a regurgitation of not acid, but bile that actually gives you the same symptoms as acid. So it could be a bile reflux issue as well. So the question is, how do we fix the stomach? Well, I would go back to my eating plan and really make sure you're doing it exactly like I said, because I think a lot of people, they try the remedies that I recommend, but they're not getting the basic eating plan long enough, consistent enough for it to work. They kind of sort of do it off the cuff, and it's not exactly done right. And so now they think, well, that didn't work. I'll go down to the next thing. So just make sure you're doing that, getting the basic eating plan correct with the intermittent fasting, which will probably give you more relief than anything. But definitely try some TUDCA. That will help you. And I think that's what you need to do. It's probably a bile deficiency issue. That you need.
Where do I get that from you? Or where do I get
No, you can look it up online. I think probably Amazon.
How do you spell that?
It's TU TUDCA. TUDCA.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. We're a little bit out of time there, Olivia, so we're going to have to roll. But we do have another gentleman that kind of popped in on us mid-show, and I want to make sure we don't ignore him. And is it Julio with a G? How do you say your name, sir?
Yes, Julio.
Julio, all right, you are on with Dr. Berg.
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
First of all, I want to thank you because I had amazing results with acupressure, and I solved really bad problems I had with knots on my muscles. And thank you for that. The question I have is every day when I wake up, I am super tired, even if I have 8-9 hours of sleep. But I'm very, very tired when I wake up, and to the point that I really have to fight to get up from the bed. So I saw all the videos on the channel about sleep and all this stuff, but I couldn't find a solution. So can you help me with that?
A question I have, did you start the keto plan that I recommend with the intermittent fasting yet?
I did. I'm on paleo, kind of paleo keto, but I do have some grains because some rice because I work out, so I need some. And I tried intermittent fasting in the past, but I couldn't solve this problem, and I have this problem since I can remember. So
okay, so here's one tip I'm going to give you. Paleo is basically keto, but allowing more carbs, and so those little bit of carbs, especially if you have insulin resistance, which it sounds like you do, can keep you kind of in a state of fatigue and tiredness all the time. I had that problem. So unless I bring my carbs down and eliminate the rice and the fruit, that type of thing, I won't really experience the energy that I really need to be in to be able to convert to full keto. So now you're really burning fat and you're getting the energy from that new fuel. You have to bring the carbs down low enough, which you might not be low enough. I think that's your big problem. I would do that. And in fact, just do it for 1 to 2 weeks, okay, to prove it to yourself. Cut out those little carbs. I know one of the reasons you're trying to keep your weight up right now, but maybe you just increase more food right now and exercise a little bit harder and just to get more calories, more fat than the carb, and then see what happens with your energy. I think that's really what's missing. I do know if I go with what you're eating right now, I will feel very similar. I feel like I just don't have the energy that I should from the sleep that I get. And then when you experience that, then you can decide, wow, okay, this is what I want to do, and then make some decisions. Anyway, I'm going to thank everyone in the green room and everyone listening. I appreciate all of your wonderful questions. Stay tuned for some really interesting videos coming up this next week. And we will see you next Friday morning, or actually whatever time it will be, 11 o'clock in the afternoon.